What a victory it turned out to be then for Everton as they managed to get one over the league leaders Arsenal, who, as we know, hadn't lost since much earlier on in the season. It was their second defeat, Arsenal. As for Everton, at the time, it was a victory that took them out of the relegation zone, but other results didn't quite go according to plan for them. So they do find themselves in 18th position still in the bottom three. But this is what the new Everton boss, Sean Dyche, told talkSPORT about how everything fell into place.
What we asked for was the minimum requirement is maximum effort, and they've put a maximum effort performance in today. It's a great start point. It's a great base to work from. The organisation I thought was good. The pressing was good. The will to tackle, defend properly, and then of course found a great moment from a set piece, and set pieces are always important when they're delivered correctly. Two players who obviously I've worked with, they know some of our set piece thinking, and then kind of glued together with a performance that I thought a performance with a big heart, and that will never go out of fashion. I said recently in interviews, for all the qualities in football teams and football clubs, you need a heart, you need desire, you need pride, you need the passion to go and deliver a performance, and I was very pleased with that today.
Yeah, that's what he asked for. He wanted pride, he wanted hard work, he wanted determination, and that's what he got, Cass.
Yeah.
They made it very difficult for Arsenal.
In an abundance, they were absolutely brilliant from start to finish, Everton, yesterday. Couldn't give them enough credit. Two boys in midfield, Decore, Onana, terrific. Two huge midfielders, covered loads of ground, got in the faces of Arsenal, pressed Arsenal when they had the ball defensively as a team. The work rate was extraordinary and it got them a result, and a deserved one, by the way. For Arsenal, it's 2 losses now in the Premier League. Had an unbelievable start to the season. They got 50 points on board already.
Yeah.
Have you said to me the one thing that stands out now? I'd say Saka now has gone back-to-back games, one in the Cup against Man City and one yesterday. Teams are doubling up on him. Okay? That's a new challenge for him because teams might do that. And he's a really top quality footballer, Saka. He's got loads about him. But many players in the past had these issues. I can think of Salah, Giggs, Perez, modern game, Foden, Grealish, Mahrez at Man City. All of them face these challenges of when the opposition, like Everton did yesterday, got Dwight McNeil to double up with a fullback.
So there will be opposition teams then that will be looking at what Everton did, and as you say, about doubling up on Saka, who's been so influential. I'm saying this because Brentford are playing them next. I'm hoping they'll be looking at this. But it sounds so basic, really. Stop the main threat. Why aren't teams doing that anyway, then?
Well, there are. Martinelli would have been a threat. His game's a little bit gone off. He's not quite playing as well as he did. And Arsenal was stopped in other areas before the ball got to Saka as well. Yeah. That was I'm just talking on a personal note for him.
Yeah.
They couldn't get the ball out very quickly from the back, and they get an Odegaard on there. Thomas Partey, who'd been quite clearly looked like he was struggling with a bit of a niggle yesterday. But these are what teams will do to you. And if you're playing really, really high, it's a bit like Almiron. When he really struggled, then he's done well this season, and now he gets to a place where people are thinking, you're a threat. We need to stop a threat in that side of the pitch. Saka's been so good that people are going to look at him and go, maybe we'll get an extra body in that position on the pitch just to make Arsenal go elsewhere because they're not quite as effective or quite as good. And I thought Everton did it brilliantly yesterday. But for Saka, who's good enough, you might even say to him, Arteta could even go, do you know what, I might switch you at times. And I know he does do that, but switch you a little bit more, just to give him a little bit of a different idea about playing different positions in forward lines.
Ryan, who is a regular contributor to talkSPORT on Twitter, has said this on the performance for his beloved Arsenal. That was the worst I've seen Arsenal play in years. It was honestly so bad, but bad game in 20 isn't the end of the world. But he then goes on to say, let's not pretend Everton were great. Arsenal were just really, really bad. Anyone would have beaten us yesterday, he says.
No, I disagree. I disagree on the fact that Everton weren't great. They were yesterday.
And they made Arsenal bad.
Yeah, and I don't mean by their performance with the ball and brilliant technically and had all these great, positional plays that made a difference against Arsenal. I'm talking about they were great in their endeavour, desire to stop Arsenal.
Exactly.
That was a super high level.
They gave Arsenal no room to breathe.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the sign of a team that was working together. They wanted to make sure Arsenal had no rhythm in that game yesterday. And it was obvious because of how badly Arsenal ended up playing.
Yeah, you've used the perfect word. Rhythm is something that Arsenal like to have. And they didn't get allowed to play. And now I was told very early on in my career, never let good players get their head up and see the picture, find the pass. And if you stop them do that, they're not as good. And yesterday, Odegaard found it really difficult to get in the game and dictate because he's a very gifted footballer. You know, people have looked at one of the things I've admired about De Bruyne for years is that he can keep finding ways of people trying to stop him but still deliver. And this year, look, he's getting older now, so he's approached his 30s, and you know, so he's in a different scenario. But if you're so good week in, week out, what do you think people are going to do? They're going to look at you and say, you're a threat. Mm-hmm. We've got to stop that threat. Mm-hmm. And that's where Saka is now, because you are being looked at as such a good player and a difference maker that people are going to have to stop you. And I think he's well good enough to adapt his game to be a threat again.
Yeah.